Uh-oh, it's me. Hi, everybody. It's Graham Walker. Thank you for being here. We are really excited for this one today. This is our third in a series of, I don't know, many webinars. Today's a really exciting one. We've got a special direct primary care physician guest. And I'm going to kick us off here. I'll introduce my co-host here in a second. Just get me screen sharing going. Thanks everybody for being here on a Wednesday evening. I'm not a sports person, but apparently there's a Knicks game. So I think it's San Antonio. Is that the two teams? Anyway, more importantly, welcome to Clinician Intro to Vibe Coding. Really, the idea here is we want to help you if you are a beginner, like an absolute beginner. Like you don't know, if I say the word terminal, you don't know what that is. Maybe that scares you. Maybe seeing this kind of courier-based font on your screen is intimidating. We got you. The goal here is we really think the hardest part of vibe coding is just getting started, just getting the tools installed and like building your first web page. So we're going to help you do that together. And that's the whole point. I wanted to introduce Dr. Michael Hobbs, my co-host, builder extraordinaire. Michael, thanks for being here.
So super excited to be here again.
We'll pull Michael up on the screen here too.
Here I am.
There you are. Michael, we're going to just dive in. We're going to kind of do dueling screen sharing here. Michael, I've given the easier task of doing screen sharing onto what's called the terminal and on his Mac. I am on my unfamiliar Windows PC, so you'll be able to see how it works on both systems. So if no matter what system you have, you can vibe code. You can even do this on the web. If you don't want to even install any programs, you can do it inside of a browser window too. So, I will introduce Kenneth in just a second. We're super excited. Let's kick this off here. And then I just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, Evidently and Heidi. You're going to see a demo of some really cool Heidi tools about halfway through as well. So just to set the stage, if you've heard of vibe coding, this concept really is that you don't need to be an engineer anymore to code, to program, to develop software, truly. I have created several websites, but that was me hand coding the thing and having lots of bugs and getting really frustrated and wanting to throw stuff at my computer. But these tools don't require you to do that anymore. You describe what you want, and it will build you a prototype really fast in minutes. And then you give it feedback and say, no, I want that in red, not blue, or I want this logo over here, not there. And it will just do that for you until you get to a point that you're happy with. This is the general kind of loop that I use. I think this is probably the best way to start out with vibe coding. You just have an idea in your imagination of what maybe a web page is that you want to build, or a little widget maybe you want to build. You describe that, the AI builds it. It will often write it, create a file on your computer that you can like open in a normal browser window and test out. And then you give it feedback. Oh, I like this, I don't like that. And it iterates until you get to the point you're happy with. Michael, is this how you typically recommend other beginners start off? Any other tips that you recommend to people?
Yeah, I say people, hey, what's a friction point? What's something that's annoying you about like your day or your job that you want to try to make easier? And that's a real good motivation to jump in because you're like, oh, I don't know what to
Got that somewhere
do,
here.
but
Yeah.
yeah, 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 pick an annoyance.
Yeah, the other thing that I always say to people is like, if you have the feeling, the emotion of like this should be easier, like the word should often should be a trigger to make you think like maybe I could build something to fix this problem. Here's a couple examples that like Michael just came up with. Like my referral list is a sticky note or it's an Excel document. Um, I copy the same five orders into every wild child note. Every prior auth letter starts from a blank page. So anything that you're like, oh God, I hate doing this. Well, stop doing that. Can we help you with an alternative? Michael, tell people. I really like this analogy. Tell people the way you think about vibe coding and traveling.
Yeah, so I think I love mental models, right? And so the terminal feels like a foreign land to so many people because they don't even see it in their applications folder because it's hidden under utilities. And so trying to go to this foreign land, you want a guide, you want a local fixer to help you kind of do stuff and can translate. And so when you travel, right, you learn some phrases to get by. And it's the same thing with the terminal. Like you learn some basic phrases
Mhm.
and that gets you by until you can get to your guide and get to your fixer, which is Claude or Codex in the terminal. And then you just start talking to them and they do all the interpreting for you.
If you have ever traveled into a country where you are not fluent reading and writing the language, you can vibe code too.
Yeah. And then when you travel, it feels like a foreign land at first. And then after a week, it just feels like a place.
Yeah. This is the other piece that this is why we're doing this specifically for clinicians. You know, I strongly believe that expertise, your experience seeing patients, is the way that you are going to solve your problems better for yourself because you know what is annoying to you. Other people might not think the same things are annoying, the same things are frustrating. So you can build for your own pain points. You can automate the stuff that is repetitive for you that you're like doing. You know, if you do something five or more times a day, you should probably find a way to automate that. Is a reasonably good rule. Whether it's a template in your EHR or a dot phrase or a little vibe coded tool, whatever it is. Again, this is the loop. We will literally demonstrate this loop for you, but it is not hard. This is just like any other loop of self-improvement, going from a med student to a resident. You iteratively get better and revise your hypothesis over time as you, whatever, get labs back and start to change your differential diagnosis. I want to introduce Dr. Kenneth Qiu. Kenneth is the very first podcast guest on my podcast, Our Doctor. And Kenneth is an incredible, I would say, uh, leader and direct primary care expert that decided, like, right after residency, oh, yeah, I'm just going to go start my own practice. I'm going to figure this all out because I think it's the right way to practice and the best way for my patients. And then, like, Kenneth, I want to just kind of have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your practice and then, like, your kind of experience with programming and vibe coding.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me on, Graham. Big honor. And yeah, you said it's not magic. It still feels like magic to me. This stuff is so cool. So very briefly about me, I'm Kenneth Qiu, family physician. Like Graham mentioned, I started my direct primary care practice straight out of residency. July will be 5 years.
Wow.
There's four docs across two locations now. And we're having a lot of fun. And because I do direct primary care, the only time I talk about coding is now AI coding. So that's great.
Oh, I
Um,
love that. Oh, that's a good little sneaky
yeah,
little
well,
joke
so
there.
there you go. So my tech background, I like new things. So, I've Meta glasses. I bought an Oculus way back when, version one of Whoop and Aura. I tried it all. But I'm not a programmer, right? The closest I ever got to software was in the 10th grade. We spent like a week doing HTML on Notepad. And ever since, I took some like YouTube classes to try to learn Python or whatever and quit within 30 minutes. So this stuff is foreign to me. Never liked it, not fun. Um, I think that's why you guys have me on, right? Because I'm the quintessential don't touch software and now I'm building stuff.
That's right.
And so why I got into coding, you watched as ChatGPT came out, people were asking about symptoms and all this stuff, and then the doctors started moving all to open evidence, using things like Heidi and other AI scribes. But the Pandora's box for me was really when Doctronic got approval in Utah to start prescribing. So for those who don't know, Doctronic is essentially like a AI front door that you can talk to before a doctor jumps in. But in Utah, they got permission to actually prescribe meds without anybody touching it. And so I was like, oh geez, the future is here. I'm behind. Time to get going.
That
So
woke you up and said like, "Oh crap, I need to pay more attention to AI," kind of? Is that
not
what you're
more
saying?
attention because I was already, I mean, this was also when Claude Code had just started, like a little after Claude Code started.
Yeah.
Before Claude was like the artistic guy that I used to help me write blogs. But then people are like, oh, I'm building stuff. I'm like, what do you mean you're building stuff? That doesn't make
Okay.
any sense. Chatbot. So I was like, all right, I got to figure this code thing out. So the coolest thing about AI is that it's the tool is its own instruction manual and customer support. So I just went on to Claude. I was like, hey, I need to figure out how to Claude code. What do I do? Just walk me through it. What do I need to download on my computer? Do I have to pay you now? Like, what's going on? And it just gave me the step by step, and I had it all downloaded. And pretty much, I started by just testing the boundaries. I was like, make me a game. So one of my first projects was actually a multi-level escape room. I was like, just make me an escape room, and I just nudged it. I was like, do this, do that. And every time it felt like magic. I was like, oh, cool, I can do this and that. And then I started doing clinical stuff. And again, back to that magic thing, every new milestone for me has felt like magic all over again. So the first time I got it connected to my tech stack by API, the data came in, it was good data. I was like, whoa, amazing. And then the first time I was able to add like AI insights onto that data, amazing. And then just yesterday, I turned my like single local app from my computer into a multi-user, multi-computer program. And that just like blew my mind. And so, I had all these things already that I wanted to do, and that's why I've been building so fast, is because these things I've asked vendors for years, I'm just creating in like a weekend.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, and Kenneth, you said you got it connected to your tech stack. Like, was that you that got it connected, or did Claude Code just figure out how to connect it for you?
so I did it. So that along the way, I've been helped by a lot of people, like Michael and
Michael's
uh,
incredible. Yeah.
yeah, other friends in communities. And before I was just like, okay, make me this thing and I'm going to figure out how to do this. But Michael has this phrase he always goes back to called just ask Claude or Jack, right? If you don't know how to do something, just do it. And so I'm like, hey, I have API connections. I want the data from here. What do I do? How do I make sure it's secure, right? Because we're dealing with uh, private health information. And so we need to make sure that all that's protected. And so if you tell it to be HIPAA compliant, all that stuff, and you run these security things, again, you can see how little I know about this. It'll run security checks and make sure everything's compliant. So yeah, that's kind of how I did it. And again, just like you showed a couple slides ago, it's like, hey, here's the thing that I want. It makes a rough draft, and then you just adjust as you go on.
Yeah. Kenneth, do you have any demos of stuff you've vibe coded you can show us?
I sure do.
Oh, it's like we planned that or something. What?
Yeah. All right. I'll replace your current share with me.
Yeah, go for
All
it.
right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we got it.
All right, so this is actually like my actual website. And so the first thing I did just to like test things was pricing, right? Because in indirect primary care, we believe in transparent pricing. So I had a Excel sheet with all of our most common labs. So this is top 25 most common labs. And this way, people, prospective patients or current patients can actually add the medicines they want. And if there's anything that's not in our top 25, you can
Mm.
search and it just pops up, right? And they can click and clear all and they get all this stuff. So this was first. And then next I did on-site pharmacy. What makes this a little more challenging is that you have dosing and you have quantity. So there's like the common quantities, right? But then you can also do like per pill. And then the other feature I added on, again, just by asking the machine, was I wanted to compare it to Cost Plus and GoodRx. I'm not going to click it now, but if you click the GoodRx one, it actually will go to amoxicillin 500 on GoodRx. Cost Plus, I couldn't figure out how to do it, so it's just the Cost Plus homepage. But this essentially allows people to see like how much better our prices are, even than Cost Plus and GoodRx. So yeah, this was cool, and this was the next thing that I made.
I mean, Kenneth,
But
these are
yeah,
things that you don't, just to be clear, you don't know how to program web pages.
correct.
You
Yeah,
don't know how to make interactive CSS and JavaScript run and then link to the correct GoodRx page.
yeah. I don't even know how my website works.
There's the
I was
quote of the
on
night right there.
I was on Squarespace, and then this company moved me over to WordPress, and yeah, I'm just like, hey, Claude, I'm on WordPress. This is the builder that it says it uses. I need you to make me a thing that does this, right? And then
Perfect.
it just
Exactly. You gave it enough
magic.
context to understand what it needed to do.
Yeah,
Amazing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, this was some of the early website stuff, and then I'll move over to I call it the mega app. Okay, so there's a lot of layers to this, and so this is obviously demo mode. I asked for the demo data to be whimsical and magical, so that's
Your
what we have.
patients aren't named Governor Pudding Cup. I was kind of
I can't
sad.
say that's a HIPAA violation.
That's right. Yeah. Ivy
But
Sparkle Pants. I hear that you're here for chest pain.
yeah, that's right. So this actually started. I created this page first, population health, because I wanted to see what was happening across all the doctors, and also just to, see how we're doing as a practice. And so I just created these few things. I'm big into lipidology, so everybody gets LP little a. We check ApoB, A1Cs, and so it'll actually tell you like which doctors, values, and then the patients. So. And I also added this. It's just like, okay, who's utilizing us a lot? Who's sending a ton of messages? Which doctors are messaging more? And I can just ask Claude to add things because all the data is here now. So whatever I want to monitor, I can monitor. And then, if you have concerns about people, well, actually, real quick, you can change it by doctor, and you can see the whole practice or specific clinicians. And if you want to see how a patient's doing. Now, this is demo data, so like it's all the insights are going to be wrong, but this opens up to a patient page. And so I think the cool thing about this is like the second version of what I made, is in DPC, because we don't do episodic billing and stuff, it's more of a continuous relationship. So we have our EMR, which does notes, as well as Spruce, which is our messaging system. And so I was looking back at a patient's chart. I was like, I don't remember when we talked about this or if we talked about this. Like, this is crazy that I'm doing this like episodic look back when our relationship is continuous. So that's what got me to build timeline. So this is every message. If there's a message during the day, it'll log it, and then office visits. Office visits where a prescription was made has a little pill. Office visits where an order was made is this, and you can search by any of those, like, oh, when did I prescribe things? When did I order stuff? I just want to look at my messages. I just want to see when labs came back. So, you can search the timeline. And when you click it, it actually shows like the full message from that day or the full visit.
Kenneth, this
And
is
then,
incredible.
yeah.
I mean, this is literally the first time I'm seeing this. It's really outstanding. And then I just want to flag the thing that Hobbs and I said to start with. The first thing you said was you said something like that you were annoyed or that you were having trouble following all the messages. And so
Mhm.
again, like to Hobbs, to your point, like Kenneth found an annoyance. Like, God, I hate that I can't see all my messages or I can't see XYZ or I need to, oh, now I want to add filters to the messages. And then Claude Code just did it for you because you, Kenneth, you knew what your pain points were and then it was able to solve those for you. It's
That's
amazing.
right. That's right. And so then I was like, okay, I have all this data, right? But wouldn't it be cool if I actually knew what was happening? And so then I created this middle section, which puts all the data for a patient into Gemini, and it automatically creates the problem list. Like I don't do anything about it. And it tells me a summary of how it's doing. And this is the coolest thing. Again, I just asked it to do, I was like, I wonder if it can do this. And whenever you think like, can it do this? Just ask it to do it and it'll do it. It's incredible.
Yeah,
And so what it does is it actually gives me citations and shrinks the timeline down so I can see when we talked about this specific problem.
it's outstanding.
Yeah. So
Kenneth,
cool.
thank you. I think we need to I want to get people installing Claude Code, but like I'm blown away, man. This is really cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just because it's stuff I want, and like,
Yeah.
every time there's like a new thing, I'm like, ooh, and also, uh, and so I was
It
like,
it is a little addictive. Like you can get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm over optimizing every little thing, but it is like because that's the whole point. You can optimize to your heart's desire.
yeah, that's right, and just make sure this is back end stuff, but like, I'm still screen sharing, right? People can
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
Okay, solid. So yeah, then I was like, all right, cool. I got this. Wouldn't it be neat if I could just put it into my EMR? So I can't write and save notes, but I can copy it, and then when I do it here, basically it creates a draft note in my EMR. So this kind of replaces kind of pre-charting, right? So before you had to search through all your old stuff, figure out what's going on. Now I just generate it, copy paste, and now I have a note ready to go by problem list. And so when they come in for their annual or whatever, I'm like, all right, here are your problems. Here's a brief summary. And then this is a thing that I wanted since like I opened like a little check thing, right? Just to tell people something they can walk away with.
Mhm.
So again, this is all fake data, but this uses all this data that I have. It'll create like a paragraph summary, give you body systems. And this is a cool thing. Again, I didn't know I could do this. I just asked it to do it and it did. But the green, yellow, red system, AI will automatically determine it. Like it can pull the data and tell if they're doing good or moderate or bad cardiovascularly. And it's like pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So this whole section up here auto generates medications pull in from the chart. Problem list is from the generated problem list. And then I can add labs and vitals here. So things that we're tracking, right? Like if their cholesterol's, here their A1C shooting up, you can move it around to prioritize certain things. And then I just added this blank section so that I can print it out at the beginning of the annual and be like, here's what you've done in the last year, and then handwrite what they need to do for next steps. Because
I
you
love
know
it.
this comes from lobbying. If you mark a sheet of paper, people are more likely to keep it than if you don't. So there's a random tip from a different silo.
Kenneth, thank you so much. Your enthusiasm, I think, is infectious, and your ability to like, so again, solve your own problems is exactly what we want people to like take away from this. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
for sure.
I'm gonna switch over to Hobbs. If you want to get ready to help people get show the terminal and get installed, I'll take some questions, and then you can take over the screen share whenever you want here. Let me
I'm
just
ready when you're done.
Okay, I'll just fly through a couple questions here. I think people are posting their actual apps in the chat, which is freaking amazing. We're gonna show your link to your residency call generator a little bit later. Security is absolutely a concern. I mean, I think that's one of the things we want to point out here is you can vibe code little fixes, but if you want to add in the ability to send data, especially patient data, you have to have a BAA, and this is not a HIPAA PHI webinar. This is just about building. So yes, certainly. I mean, Kenneth did a perfect example of showing demos with fake data and whimsical patient names, because when you want to go from building your own little proof of concept to building a tool that you actually use with patients. Now, Kenneth has it easier because Kenneth works for Kenneth. Kenneth has his own DPC practice, and so he can execute a BAA. He can do all the security review himself if he so chooses. So that's the one piece that I certainly want people to take away as well is it's one thing to build something that works as a web page on your own computer and that doesn't send data to the internet. And again, you can tell Claude to build a tool that way. It's another entirely to start processing patient data with it as well and sending information to the cloud and back and everything like that. Hobbs, you want to take it away?
Yeah, ready.
My hey oh
In progress.
We're all built in Claude Code also. Hey, my screen's back. Welcome back, everybody.
I think we're back, Hobbs.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, so we just solved healthcare, and so you guys missed it. But we'll kind of try to review it in another episode. We're in Claude Code here. I'm going to go back to it in a second, though. So we're going to exit out, and then we're in the terminal window.
So Hobbs, I'll just summarize. You opened the terminal window.
Yep.
And you installed Claude Code, and we
I
can
did.
we can put a link to how to just install that command.
Okay.
You've got it there in AI101.health, and you just copy that command, paste it into the terminal window, hit enter, and it will install
Just like
Claude
that.
Code.
Yeah.
It's running a
And then
big
once
command on the back end, and
Yep,
then
and then-
you're just going to type the word Claude.
Yep. You're going to call your interpreter. And then, Graham's slide said, prompt code. You're actually not going to do any coding. Claude does the coding. You tell Claude what you want done, and you say, I want to make a website. And I think you guys might have all heard that these two websites were both done in Claude Code. And so I just started with a dream, right? I want to build an AI 101 website. I started doing some research. I started saving files locally. It created the website. It shows it to me in Chrome. It launches the web browser and shows me. And that's how you get started. And then you learn day by day. Like the first thing you're going to do is you're going to build something small and you're going to be like, it did it. I'm so excited. And you're like, I wonder if it can do this. And you're going to do it. It's going to do it. And you're just like, I wonder if it can do this. Just like Kenneth was saying, he keeps adding features to what he was doing because he's adding on, because he's getting bigger dreams and he's thinking bigger about what his project can be. And then you think, I can make this other project. I can make this other project. And that's where you want to sort of say, hey, how much effort do I want to focus? Because Kenneth is a perfect example is that like you have a singular focus on a project, you can get a lot of results. And it's really tempting to say, I'm going to build 10 projects. But most of us don't have time to
Manage 10 things. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's Claude Code in the terminal. A quick show, it also exists in the Claude app. So you can code this way too. You see the fun little dude here. But this is for the terminal. This is for this. The terminal is actually a little more straightforward. There's less cloud back and forth. It's all happening locally on your computer. So I actually prefer the terminal. And it's fun to learn. And it feels like you're stretching some muscles in your brain that you haven't used for a while. And I think Graham's going to show us how to use Codex.
I am. Hobbs, do you want to just maybe make your terminal window full screen, and then maybe you want to just show people what it looks like when you
Sure.
build a web page that teaches people about, I don't know. Great Graham Walker fan site. Okay, here we go. So that's the prompt, guys. That's all. Can you make the font? Can you make the font bigger?
Sure, I can. And then this is something that you're going to run into once in a
yeah.
while. I'm not logged in here,
Logged
so
in.
I'm going to quick minimize.
It's going to make a Graham Walker fan
smaller.
site.
Yep, and then we're going to log in, and it's going to take me to my Claude Code on the web. And this is exactly, so this is your
It's going to ask for your, this is a normal step that logs you in. And
Goes
now
back
look,
here.
it said login successful. And
back here. And then we'll get bigger again. And then we hit enter, and then we'll go back to this. And so it can web search for you. It can learn all about Graham. It's going to say, who's Graham
this
Walker?
is going to be embarrassing. Oh, it found me.
Yep.
Oh, it didn't mention off call, Jake.
But you see how
Um,
Claude's doing those, and you don't have to know what all these things mean,
Yep, it's just going to
right?
build this. I'm going to take two questions, and I'm going to show Codex as well on
Okay.
my Windows PC here. J. Denise Clement, doctor says some people may not know what the terminal window is. Yeah, so the terminal window, you can find it in your, if you're on Mac, in your Windows, sorry, in your Finder Utilities folder, and then
Under
open the
applications.
under
Yeah.
applications, and then open that. And it's just a dark screen that you can type words into. And then Omar Salim asks, why not use Claude Code in Claude Desktop? It has similar features. I'll show you the Codex version of that. That's the OpenAI product in just a second, Omar. We wanted to show people the options. Oh God, here it is. I wanted to show people the terminal way of doing things is, to me, it feels a little bit faster because it's having to do less things. And there's the Graham Walker fan site, you guys, in
Literally,
1
this was
minute,
all.
60 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let me jump over and I'm going to take over and show you guys Codex. So Codex, for some people, I think some people who are maybe less comfortable with computers, or maybe a little bit more intimidated by computers, that I know that terminal window can look kind of scary to people. If you're back in my day, if you're on the older side, that was how you interacted with computers before Windows. I was very good at MS. That was, if you've heard of MS-DOS, Microsoft DOS, that's what you used. You typed little commands and it showed you different folders you were in and you could run programs that way before there was a mouse and a keyboard and stuff like that you could zoom around. This is OpenAI's version of Claude Code. It's called Codex, but it does the same thing, but it has a GUI, a graphical user interface. That just means it looks prettier, but behind the scenes, it's fundamentally doing the same thing. Now, the idea here on Codex is that you can go to any folder you want, and instead of, you install this more like a regular application. I actually downloaded this from the Microsoft App Store, and then you install it, and then you can pick your folder here that you want to. I've got an intro to vibe coding folder. You can pick how hard you want the tool to work. We'll do low here just to get the thing moving faster, and okay, it takes one to know one. Create a Michael Hobbs MD fan site in the style of William Shakespeare. Let's see what happens. And again, this is doing the same thing. This looks more like ChatGPT or Claude, right? To most people, probably should. Similar user interface with kind of conversations or projects on the left. In the middle is the chat window. This is doing the exact same thing that Michael's program did in the terminal window, but it's doing it and it's giving me a little bit more feedback in maybe a format that I'm a little bit more familiar with. Maybe it doesn't feel as intimidating, and it's an app that I just double click the app to open as opposed to typing out the word Claude to open, and so it maybe feels a little bit more interesting. Okay, it's
Graham, I'll grab a couple questions while your site builds.
yeah, sure.
I see a question about token constraints. I see a couple questions about tokens. It's actually one of the most common things people are going to run across when they start this whole journey is they're going to start with a free account or they're going to buy the first level of the paid account. And they're going to realize like, hey, I ran out of tokens pretty quick. I think Kenneth will back us up on this. There's an upgrade path that a lot of people take because when you're trying to build and you're getting to a stopping point because you run out of tokens, you upgrade. And the landscape is changing. Right? We're moving from like sort of a subsidized token era to where tokens are going to start to be more like you use them, you pay for them. We're not there yet, but it is something to keep in mind. And there isn't necessarily a best model. You kind of have to get a vibe for them and explore which ones work for you. Some people actually like Codex better than Claude Code for that reason. It can be a little more direct. It can be a little more programmatic. And so I would say try them both out. I actually use both. I have Codex check Claude Code's work, for example. And so it gives you sort of a spot check on some of your own programming. And once you start building some of these things, you realize, hey, this is actually money well spent because it's saving you time and it's saving you energy and it's reducing stress in your life.
And you can actually see the code. This is the other reason some people like these apps. You can actually see the code being written. I mean, I program websites, so for me, I like this because I can see what it's doing and I can understand what it's doing. But if you don't, like, no offense, Kenneth. Kenneth probably doesn't care if it's. Oh, it's. I look at it. I'm like, oh, it's writing CSS. Kenneth's like, oh, I don't build web pages. I could care less. I just want it to build a lab pricing collector. Okay. I'm going to see if I can get this page to run because it's.
I see a couple more questions I'll hit on too.
Yeah, sure.
Somebody did ask specifically about Claude Code in the desktop versus the command line. They complement each other, and you can actually hand them off. If you want something in one spot, you can move it to the other. And I think it's sort of what you get comfortable with. So if you figure out how it works well on the desktop for you, just like with Codex, use that, right? All of this is like which experience works best for you.
I'm going to just do a quick screen share because it made this thing. Michael, that's not the most flattering picture of you, but honestly, so again, this was what was it, like 10 words. I asked it to make a Shakespeare fan site for Michael. Judgment with a steady hand, kindness in plain speech. Oh, Hobbs, whose art makes worried pulses sing, that counsel turns the winter into spring. Thank you, Dr. Michael Hobbs. I'm sure we could, again, we could have this do 12 more iterations and make it Gen Z, make it, change the color scheme, whatever you want. That is the power of these tools. All right, I'm going to switch back to the Google Doc here. I'm already there. These are just some of the commands. If you're using the terminal, really, I think you could very easily just go to Hobbs's guide, or you can honestly, like Kenneth said, just ask Claude Code. How do I exit? It'll probably tell you how to exit, and type Claude to start. Or you can hit Control C if it's starting to do something you don't want it to do, or if you think it's stuck, you can hit Control C and that will cancel what it's currently up to. Okay, we've got things installed. I showed you guys Codex. Yeah, I think probably the easiest thing to start with is a web page, just because you're probably familiar. If you're on LinkedIn right now, which I know you are, you probably know how to access a browser and how to open a web page. And again, your computer, if you just double click the HTML page or the file that this thing creates, it will open it in your browser, and it usually will automatically display, just like it did for Michael's fan site and for my fan site. Okay, let's just see if there's questions, and then I'll move over to Shrey from Heidi. Let's see. Shrey, I'll just let you get queued up to get started. Yeah, Shrey, why don't you go ahead and take over, and then we'll keep monitoring for questions, and please, people, keep putting your apps in the chat as well.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Hey all, I'm Shrey. I'm a product manager here at Heidi on our US team, and what I wanted to do today was provide the perspective of someone that works at a company whose job is literally to build AI tools for clinicians, both to show how we enable clinicians themselves to shape and customize their workflows directly within our product, and also a quick bit on how we use the same mindset internally to build better AI tools alongside clinicians. If you're sharing the screen, maybe to the next slide, Graham. So just a quick overview of those unfamiliar about Heidi. We started off as an AI scribe generating clinical notes for doctors and scaled it to one of the most used AI scribes in the world. We listen to over 2.5 million consults a week and across 110 languages in 190 countries. But now Heidi is so much more. We call ourselves an AI care partner. So what that essentially means is that our goal is to give clinicians one system that handles as much of the work around the work. So clinicians can focus on the one thing that they're there to do, which is give care to the patients. Um, so there's my Heidi ad, back to the scheduled program. The main question that we ask ourselves at Heidi is how do we build tools for clinicians when every single clinician's workflow is so different? So one of the core principles that we follow is to build in a way that allows clinicians to sit in the driver's seat and truly customize the product to be their own, which is obviously closely tied to the theme we have today, which is how clinicians can get more involved in using AI to build things that support their day-to-day work. There are plenty of moments across all of our products that truly imbibe this core principle, but I just wanted to showcase one of them today in the name of vibe coding, which is our template builder on our Scribe product. I'm going to take over the screen.
Yeah, perfect.
Hope you all can see that. So for those unfamiliar, this is our product on Heidi. So we're an AI scribe first. This is a typical experience. Clinician uses this tool, patient comes in, they click the transcribe button, listen to the conversation, and it generates a note. All of our notes are based on templates, which basically just encode how we should be writing the documentation based on the conversation. I'm going to take you guys over to our templates tab over here and show potentially a cool thing that allows you to use natural language to generate your own note templates. So I think of this very similarly to some of the stuff that Graham and Michael were showing earlier. You can basically write in any prompt over here, and we think through how to write the perfect note for you. So let me just quickly drop in a prompt here. So we can say something like generate a SOAP note with a problem-based assessment and plan for a primary care follow-up visit. So what we'll do is take that, understand exactly what the structure should look like. There. What you'll see if you look at the structure over here, we have our own sort of programming language at Heidi. Every single template is encoded with parentheses, brackets, and whatnot to determine like this is the kind of information that needs to flow in here. These are the more free-form instructions a clinician can provide for how the information should flow in, some more explicit renditions of language that need to show up in the template themselves. So from here, you can see based on just sample templates and sample transcripts, we've generated a note based on these templates. What if you don't like any part of this? Let's say the subjective note, part of the note is way too, free form for you. You can say subjective section is too free form. Can we make it more bullet point? Also, the AMP is kind of unclear, bold, problems, and make it more concise. Something like this, where we take that and first look at what needs to be changed on the structure and allow clinicians to truly make their template their own. We'll see in just a minute as it streams. While it's doing that, the main thing I wanted to convey was that we're obviously way past the age of one size fits all software. What's becoming possible now is software can be shaped much more directly by the people that directly use it. So I'll pause real quick right there to show we've made the subjective section a lot more formatted, and we have bold on the problems in the assessment and plan section.
Well, sure. I love this because it is, it gets back to the original point we started with, which was like, hey, I don't want this in prose and paragraphs. I want this in bullets. Like this is an annoyance. That's not how I like to read my notes. I can't skim things the way I want to do. I mean, that's the other, I think, beauty of this is you Heidi has its own kind of structural programming language, but you didn't even have to do that. You're just able to say, oh, hey, no, 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 I don't want it this way. I want it that way. Change it for me. And then it does.
Absolutely, Graham. And internally at Heidi, we sort of think about it the same way. We use these sorts of tools to help non-engineers, like clinicians, operators, and whatnot, within our own Heidi team to work directly with our engineers to sort of explore these ideas, refine them, and bring them to life in a more production grade way. Um, as we obviously know, the people with the deepest understanding of these workflows don't really need to sit on the sidelines anymore. They can play a direct role in shaping what gets built. And that's the real message I wanted to bring today, which is even a production grade tool like Heidi brings a lot of clinical knowledge and expertise. And we use tools like this to bring that to life in a more production grade way.
I love it, Shrey. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think people are starting to really push the bounds with what's possible, and you really have to start thinking like, oh well, why couldn't we do that? Why doesn't it work that way? And you know, if your template is always in a certain format, or some people like the APSO format where assessment plan is at the top, so you can more quickly skim the note and see actually what the doctor thought was going on and what the plan was, and then you get to the stuff that often is maybe less important to see specifically. Oh, okay, they had chest pain for 5 days, not 3 days. That's often less important versus like, okay, well, what did they think was going on? So, yeah, I love that Heidi can handle that too.
Yep, absolutely. And some of these templates work up to being like pages and pages long because people get so specific about, oh, I want this in this order and this in this order. So, um, allowing patient providers to do that is truly a great thing in with our product.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ray. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
I'm going to take back over here, and I'm going to show you Codex just for a second. So in that, I don't know, 5 minutes, Shrey was demonstrating things. To show you the point of kind of iterating and changing things, I asked Codex one more thing. I said, hey, pull a real photo of Dr. Hobbs and insert it into the website, and then make a toggle that switches from the theme of Shakespeare to Gen Z. And so I will show you again. It had no problem with that, you guys. So here's our good old Shakespeare mode, but we replaced that low quality ovals with a handsome picture of Dr. Michael Hobbs. Shakespeare mode. Let's turn on Gen Z mode. It's Gen Z purple, and Michael loves this. No notes. Dr. Hobbs brings calm, clarity, and deeply wholesome pediatrician energy. The vibe is kind, capable, and absolutely worth the hype. I could not agree more. This is, I'm definitely Gen Z, as you can tell. So this is no cap, you guys. This is exactly how I speak. Pick a fresh shout out. The Dr. Hobbs cinematic universe. So again, you can have a ton of fun with this, and that is kind of the point. Is Kenneth built a game first because he just wanted to try this thing out, and now he's building tools for his own website that his own patients can use and that he can use with his EHR. So again, the whole activation energy, the biggest challenge is just to try this thing out and get started. Build a stupid fan page for you or your family or something like that, and then you start to see, oh, okay, well now I can now add a toggle, now I switch to this, now I add a contact form, all these other things as well. Okay, back to the slides in our last few minutes here, because we always run out of time. These were just a couple examples of things that you could build with Claude Code. Probably one of these has annoyed you once in your career. And so you should consider, could one of these help me and my patients? Michael, anything you want to share about what you've built recently with any vibe coding tools?
Sure. I have built a parent helper website called Ren. And it's all me and Claude and Codex. And it's pretty awesome, actually. I'm pretty proud of it. I haven't posted it on LinkedIn yet, so we can share the link in LinkedIn, but I haven't posted it officially on LinkedIn yet. So first announcement here.
That's right. Breaking news, ren.kids. That is a domain name. That's the other fact about Michael. He has the best domain names. He buys lots of domain names. Instead of building a web page, I got annoyed that I am really bad at converting Pacific time zone to Eastern time zone. So I built a little script. This is code that I don't know how to write at all. I just asked Claude Code, can you build me a script that I just highlight the text and if I write 10 a.m. PT, it'll add a slash and then convert that to Eastern time zone. And it did that no problem. So again, back to anything that annoys you, anything that you're you do frequently. I'm constantly having to convert those time zones in my head, and I'm not good at it. It's embarrassing that I'm almost 46 and I'm still not good at it. But it doesn't have to be a web page. It can be, oh, help me process this Excel spreadsheet. Help me select text on my screen, and or anything for your iPhone. When I plug in my iPhone to power, I want to change it. I want to change the sound that comes out. When I connect to CarPlay in my phone, I want the CarPlay to make a different sound. You can do anything with these tools, and you don't have to know how to do any of it.
That's a good segue too I saw a couple questions about where to host these things.
Yeah.
Replit, Vercel, Lovable, all good options. GitHub, when you get into that and get used to it, actually will host your website for free. So the Ren Kids, for example, is hosted on Vercel currently. AI 101 is hosted on Replit, I believe. And so I actually lean into whoever I got a good deal with or happen to get a couple of free months worth. So try them all, see which one you vibe with.
I just wanted to shout out, and we'll try to dive into some more of these a little bit deeper in our next webinar to plug that one, since this is really just to get you excited and get beginners to get going. These are just a handful of the many submissions we got from kind of our off-call community, people that are creating these tools and adding vibe coding to some of these tools, which are one-person companies or startups, or are just software programs. Like Dr. Loho, just trying to improve their residency call schedule optimizer, which I could have used as a chief resident because I was really bad at that. Or any of these tools that are actually also not just vibe coded, but they're actually full companies that are like Kenneth using vibe coding to make their companies and their applications better. So feel free to check them out, shout them out in the comment section. These tools that people are building, again, are solving their own problems and just being really curious and excited with their imagination, which is outstanding. This was a perfect for kind of the vibe coding tools you want to use. I would say the Claude Code and Codex are a bit more powerful. There are browser-based tools. There's one called Lovable that we talked about. Bolt, or bolt.new is the website. Google has its own design program called Google Stitch. These tools are really a bit more specific for building websites and interactive web pages. Some of them can do even more, but if you want kind of the most flexibility to write files on your computer and write code that can build apps or little tools in other languages besides the web language called HTML, you probably want to try out Claude Code or Codex, but Lovable and some of these other tools will also host your website for you, and so that's kind of a nice additional feature that they offer as well. Here's some common failure modes. Hobbs, you want to talk about these in our last few minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. So the output you get is relative to some of the input. So if you give it vaguer instructions, more general instructions, it may wander off in directions you don't want it to. It will do so with a lot of confidence, as number one says here. It will build something that works, and then you will iterate on it, and then it doesn't work anymore because it introduced a bug. And so what you do is you go back and you say, it doesn't work anymore, and it'll go back and check its work. But don't be shocked that that happens once in a while. If you're building clinical tools, especially if you're building anything that involves math, right? Because LLMs are not great with math. You always want to validate it, right? Models have a set of training data, but it's not always the latest data or the best data. And then don't write a giant project. Start small. Take small bites and then take another small bite and take another small bite. Because if you build a big one, you'll have like 15 features. You can't even evaluate if they all work wonderfully or not. And then you're going to spend a lot of time just keeping it up to date. And so if you build on top of each other, like one at a time, it'll work better. The security and privacy piece is really important, especially when it comes to PHI, any PII, depending on what business you're in. And it's super easy to get excited about building and say, I want to hook up all my patient data and I want to dump it all on my local computer. And that's the part where you want to just pause and say, okay, this is exciting, but I want to see what's going on. You can actually ask both Claude and Codex to run security audits if you give it certain parameters and say, hey, I'm a physician, this is what I'm building, I need to be careful about PHI. I want you to stop me if I'm trying to build something that isn't going to
Yeah.
be safe. And that actually ties into a question I saw in the chat from Arn about like, you want to isolate your work, right? Don't put it in your home directory right at the top. Build a little folder for it and say, keep your work right in here. I don't want you anywhere else. You don't need to look at other files. You don't need to look at other directories. And that keeps any kind of work that it's doing there. It won't go and delete other stuff. And so that's
Yeah,
another way to keep things secure.
Arn, that was such a great question. I wanted to say it, call it out again, and thank you, Jim, for answering it in the chat too. Like the way that you can, you're absolutely right. When Claude is working on your computer, it is writing code on your computer. It's not writing it on Claude in the cloud somewhere. It is putting a file on your computer, and so obviously that is that creates somebody is accessing your computer. A bot is accessing your computer. So like Michael said, you always want to put this in an isolated folder. You don't put it with your tax documents in case it could read those, because it could, or it could delete those if you give it permission to delete everything. So there's two layers. One is you put it in its own folder that's blank and empty, and it can only access that folder and subfolders. And you also you can also put the tool in a mode that requires your permission to do a lot of commands by itself. And Claude and Codex are also getting better at saying, hey, these types of commands are okay to be more automated. These other types of commands, like a command that would like delete everything in the folder, hey, you need the human's permission to do that because you don't want to make a mistake.
And if you don't know what it's asking you to give it permission for, say, I don't understand. Explain to me what you're asking for.
Yeah, explain the command you want to run.
Mm-hmm.
Those are absolutely critical pieces as you're vibe coding, and trying to figure out how to scale this and turn this into something that you could, put on your web page. Nikhil Shah, I love Nikhil's Audio Scholar tool. The whole app was built again to solve a problem. He wanted to listen to a paper while he was putting his kid to bed. So he asked Claude how to make it, and voila, he has a whole website now and a whole product called Audio Scholar. You guys know how to direct people if you've gone through residency, if you've worked in the hospital. You know how to work with people who are new to a project or a product, or are learning how to become doctors or nurses or pharmacists. So you can give feedback to Claude just like you can a good intern and have it improve over time. Maybe don't say, hey, here's the 12 things that are wrong. Maybe give it 2 at a time or 1 at a time until it starts to get better and you start to get better at answering questions. I know we're in the last few minutes here. I just wanted to shout out that we'll do another round with kind of more advanced beginner, maybe some intermediate topics. There's different commands you can use, like Michael Hobbs talked about one to help run an automated security review on your code, and lots of other information as well. And I'm probably going to wrap up there because it's almost 6 o'clock. See if there's any other questions in the chat here. This has been outstanding. I just want to thank our special guests, Shrey from Heidi, Kenneth from UDoc Primary Care in Virginia, right, Kenneth? Really exciting. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Let's see, Michael, are there any final questions here?
No, more of a go out and build. Let's see what you got next time.
Yeah. Please send us what you've built. Tag us on LinkedIn. Email us what you're creating, and we'd love to feature those and go into more depth in the next webinar as well. Have a great evening, everybody. Go Knicks or Spurs, depending on who you support. And yeah, thanks for watching, everybody.